Have you ever wondered why Larry Fink from BlackRock and MicroStrategy, led by Michael Saylor, are doing everything they can to hoard Bitcoin to get more and more Bitcoin as if it were the last gold on earth? Because while the price per Bitcoin is around $120,000, BlackRock and MicroStrategy are racing each other to be the first to own 1 million Bitcoin. And it's no coincidence that this is happening right now. That means you're witnessing something that's almost beyond words. Many companies have announced that they are going to buy Bitcoin, accumulate it, and even fill their vaults with Bitcoin. And that's strange enough already, but it gets even more bizarre. Some of these companies sell cookies, for example, others sell cheese, and still others are hotel chains that suddenly declare Bitcoin to be the future. They are buying such enormous amounts of Bitcoin that the market is starting to crack because there simply isn't enough Bitcoin available. And some companies that previously only invested a few million in Bitcoin are now increasing their investments to hundreds of millions, even billions. And BlackRock and MicroStrategy, two giants, are practically racing each other to be the first to own 1 million Bitcoin. And it's already strange that we can witness this now, considering how wealthy these companies already are, yet they seem determined to accumulate even more Bitcoin. And BlackRock already owns over 700,000 Bitcoin, and I estimate that both they and MicroStrategy will each own over 1 million Bitcoin by the end of the year. And that's concerning because these companies could then control the majority of the Bitcoin market and actually do control it, which should really belong to you, your friends, and your family. Because the latest figures show that less than 150,000 Bitcoin are available on the over-the-counter markets. That means if BlackRock alone wants to reach 850,000 Bitcoin and MicroStrategy is buying Bitcoin for $1 billion weekly or even twice a week, the over-the-counter market will dry up quickly and be emptied. Then the only option left is to buy directly through the crypto exchanges, which will of course drive the price up even further. What we can see is one thing. This has to happen because apparently no one currently wants to sell Bitcoin, or at least the long-term holders definitely don't want to sell, and only high prices will motivate them, meaning only those who got in early might be persuaded to sell their Bitcoin. And that could lead to hundreds of other companies that also want to buy Bitcoin having to compete for the remaining Bitcoin. And this was predicted years ago. At some point, the over-the-counter markets simply have to be empty, dried up. And what happens then? The pressure on crypto exchanges will increase and prices will skyrocket, Bitcoin will explode, and so will the altcoins. But it's not just BlackRock and MicroStrategy that are involved here. Other companies, governments, and institutions around the world are also buying Bitcoin, often through ETFs. And if all these players suddenly have to rely on spot markets, it could trigger a massive fireworks display in the Bitcoin price and in the other altcoins as well. Just imagine a company buying $1 billion worth of Bitcoin in a single day. What would happen to the supply and price of Bitcoin? And even if you think you're late to the game, Max Keiser explained in this video here that all the printed money has flowed into the only unmanipulated currency in the world, and that's Bitcoin. The segment was from 2013, when Bitcoin was at $43. Now, 12 years later, Bitcoin is at around $120,000. And the question is, has anything changed in the monetary system we live in and know during this time, or are they still creating money out of thin air and inflating the money supply? Just take a look at the video about it.
Hi, I'm Max Keiser. Welcome to the Keiser Report. Boy, it feels great to be a Bitcoin millionaire. I'm loving it. 8 months ago, if you recall, on this show and on the Alex Jones show, I said that there would be a major financial catastrophe over the next 9 months. And we've got it. Bitcoin has absolutely triumphed as the dollar has crashed 90% against Bitcoin, as Bitcoin is set to take on the world and root out the banksters. As we sorely need it, Stacy.
Yes, Max, we're here in New York City. The skyline right behind us, the booming city, just like all the cities around the world where all the too big to fail banks are based. Because this is where the quantitative easing is flooding in. The Dow hit an all-time high. On the very same day, Bitcoin, the unmanipulated free market of Bitcoin, also hit an all-time high of $46. And I want to turn to this headline, Max. The target value for Bitcoin isn't just $50 or $100, it's between $100,000 and $1 million. Bitcoin's value is at an all-time high again. Its market cap is now twice what it was at the 2011 peak. It is nowhere near its potential. Rick Faulting says it reaches 4 orders of magnitude above today's value.
Yeah, well, the Dow Jones has hit a new all-time low against Bitcoin. And the paper millionaires and the paper billionaires are really highly suspect because they're part of a manipulated world, manipulated Fed policy, manipulated bond markets. They manipulate the price of gold and silver. But all that money printing they've done has flowed into the only non-manipulated currency in the world, and that is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the true inflation rate, Paul Krugman. Bitcoin is the true inflation rate, Ben Bernanke. And once again, I got to tell you, it feels great to be a Bitcoin millionaire. You know, it's gone up almost 1,400% in the last year. And I'm loving it because there's anonymity, there's power. You're taking a stand against the paper pushers like Jamie Dimon over at JP Morgan. And this is the currency of the resistance.
Or watch the video from 2010 where someone explained how you could buy 10 Bitcoin for $3.48. Those 10 Bitcoin would be worth $1.2 million today.
In this video, I'll show you how to buy Bitcoin using PayPal, using the CoinPal service. First, go to coinpal.index.com and you'll be presented with this order form. In order to make a purchase, you have to have a verified PayPal account. So I'll enter my verified PayPal email address in the form, and then I'll confirm my email address by entering it again. I want to buy 10 Bitcoin, and I'll enter my Bitcoin receiving address there. I could continue. Show me the details of my order. So the exchange rate right now is 30 cents, 10 Bitcoins. That's the purchase price. PayPal is going to charge 39 cents in fees, so those are passed on to you. Then there's a convenience fee for using the service, the grand total, and the effective exchange rate for this purchase. That all looks good to me. I'll click continue. Now it tells me that they've sent me an email. So I'll go check my email. There it is. And there's this link to share. For the sake of the demo, I'm going to copy and paste my confirmation link back to my other screen here. So I confirm my email. It shows me the details. 10 Bitcoins for $2.48. Yeah, that's right. That's what I agreed to before. Click buy now.
And now we see Jerome Powell, the head of the US Central Bank, currently being referred to the Department of Justice because he may have lied under oath. And the craziest thing about it is that after 100 years, someone is finally questioning the central bank, questioning it in the US. There is a discussion or questioning of whether the central bank has actually been successful, whether its measures have been effective. And at the same time, the President of the United States has shared a video that some are calling the best explanation of Bitcoin ever. That's totally crazy. Are we living in a simulation? And Lynn Alton, a well-known macro investor, says that we're still early when it comes to Bitcoin. Tom Lee believes that Bitcoin could rise to $200,000 to $250,000 per Bitcoin. And that would be the case if Bitcoin were to reach just 25% of gold's market capitalization. And digital gold, he says, means that Bitcoin could be worth over $1 million per coin. And that could happen in the next few years. Therefore, it might make sense to assume 25% that the Bitcoin price reaches 25% of gold's market capitalization, especially with the Genius Act in mind. And many may now be wondering why someone like Tom Lee so confidently predicts $200,000 to $250,000 and eventually $1 million per Bitcoin. And that within the next few years, Lynn Alton responded that the increase over 16 years is proof of Bitcoin's value, not just an argument. Bitcoin is, after all, a portable, tamper-proof and seizure-resistant form of money that exists within a system dominated by increasing centralization. And some even argue that Bitcoin has never survived a major downturn, but it was actually born during the great financial crisis precisely because of the monetary manipulation we witnessed. And the 200-week average of Bitcoin shows that the price rises every 4 years and rarely falls below it. And that means if you hold Bitcoin for 4 years, your value increases no matter when you got in. By comparison, Microsoft took 17 years to surpass its 1,999 peak. Over long periods, Bitcoin has even outperformed top stocks like Amazon or Microsoft. And that's something you need to understand first. So, a simple model for Bitcoin is that Bitcoin equals fiat liquidity plus technology. And if you believe that technology improves the world and governments will keep printing money, Bitcoin is the best way to express that. And over the next 12 to 18 months, we could see a lot more fiat liquidity, for example, through the Genius Act in the US, which releases $3.5 trillion. And as soon as Bitcoin reaches mass adoption, and we're seeing the groundwork for that right now, the price will skyrocket. Michael Saylor says that Bitcoin is more likely to be worth $1 million than zero. Since 2010, Bitcoin has been the best performing asset, the best performing asset class, and long-term investors hold 74% of all Bitcoins. The realized market capitalization of Bitcoin keeps rising. The US government is planning to add Bitcoin to its treasury to introduce a Bitcoin reserve, and that shows this asset is here to stay. And if you're new, you should consider investing in Bitcoin and learning about it because it's the best way to protect yourself against inflation and loss of value. And I think we're at the beginning of a scenario where a flood of companies will come wanting to invest in Bitcoin. BlackRock already holds over 700,000 Bitcoin. And if they reach 800,000 or even a million, it will shake up the market. Then when the Bitcoin price was at $80,000 per Bitcoin, it was seen as a bargain. And at $350,000 per Bitcoin, it could seem very expensive. And despite everything, you're not too late. Back in 2013, when Bitcoin was at $43, it was already said that printed money was flowing into the only unmanipulated currency in the world, Bitcoin. And today, 12 years later, the price of Bitcoin is around $120,000. Has the monetary system changed now? No, money is still being created out of thin air and the money supply continues to be inflated. Since 2010, Bitcoin has been the best performing asset class and long-term investors hold 74% of all Bitcoins. So it's going to be exciting. And also remember, Bitcoins are distributed during times of panic. So don't let yourself get pushed out. I wish you a great day. And if you want to learn about Bitcoin, want to learn about crypto, and want to build financial independence through Bitcoin and crypto, click the link in the description below the video. See you in the next video. Until then,